Muted. Okay, now it's unmuted. There we go. Okay.
Did you get charcoal?
Oh, I did not.
Go grab charcoal. Oh, okay. That's fine.
It's chunk. Where's the chunk gone? Hello, 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 everybody on TikTok. How are you? We are going to be talking incense today. I have Zach here helping me out.
Hello.
His sultry voice. For TikTok in particular, you guys have the shoppable option. So all of the incense that we have in the store is in the TikTok shop. For anybody that purchases any incense during the live, we will be doing a smoke scrying session for you, I guess you could say. Hence why we have things going. If you have any questions about any of the scents, feel free to ask. But we have a lot of options. We're going to be talking resins, sticks, and what else? Cones. So, yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I felt like you were getting ready to be done. That's why I said, let me know you're done. I didn't know you're okay. I can't see you because I have these bifocals. So I keep going like oh this. My God. I'm like, what am I looking at? I have these progressive thinking I'm going to skip it and I have this large area. But all it is just yeah. That's it. That's so I wanted you to see the stuff over the stuff. Oh my gosh. There's no way it's freaking thing. I know it's so fast. Like it yells at you. I know. Okay.
All right, guys. I will give you a brief intro to some incense, to some of the properties, to some of the different scents, what they can be used for. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in. As I see them come across, I'll address them. So let's start with what we have, what I have. Hi. What I have. So we have frankincense. So frankincense is probably going to be one of the most commonly known incenses. I'm going to grab a chair. Okay. Frankincense, most people are going to know probably because of either growing up in the Catholic Church or hearing of it in the Bible, specifically as one of the 3 gifts given to the baby Jesus. Incense was offered in the temple several times throughout the day and night. Frankincense is really good for blessing, protection, sanctification. It's really good at grounding. If you like sandalwood, it has a lot of similar properties to sandalwood.
Oh, there he goes.
Got angry. So with the properties of sandalwood, they're going to be the same. Purification, sanctification, used a lot in Eastern traditions, used a lot in one of my traditions. These are typically going to be offered in prayer, offered in cleansing ceremonies, in fortification ceremonies like protection. Along with other woods, we have cedar and palo santo. Cedar, again, very protective. The cedars of Lebanon, cedars used in indigenous indigenous traditions and in folk traditions. Again, cleansing, protection. We see that a lot. It's used as an offering. Palo Santo, cleansing, protective. We see that a lot. But if anyone would like to purchase any of the items that we have in the TikTok shop, we will give you, Kala and I will both give you our insights and do a little smoke scrying session for you.
This is like when I like to ask, like, is there a certain scent or a certain way of burning incense that you like? Do you prefer resins over the sticks? If so, why? Vice versa. And your favorite scents, like, do you kind of have like your own like signature incense scent? Thank you for the follow. Thank you, Bill. Zach is very well educated in incenses and how to use them for more than just smells. So I always like learning from him. Do you have like your own like signature like stuff that you burn in particular?
Yeah, so I typically burn either cedar wood or cedar leaf. There's a specific connection that I have to that ancestrally. One, because of my grandfather, as well as our like shared like my ancestral lineage through my mom, my grandfather. The connection with cedar is indigenous. It's very specific in that regard. However, it's also used a lot in personal practice of Tibetan Buddhism. Cedar is typically ascribed to Chenrezig, the bodhisattva of compassion. So in that context, cedar is offered as, or given as an offering when trying to develop compassion.
Well, we don't have any purchases yet, but I guess we can talk a little bit about smoke scrying to those that may not even know what we're talking about. Just like how I spoke last week I think it was last week or the week before, about scrying in general, like crystal ball scrying, black obsidian or black mirror scrying. You can do the same thing with smoke. I always say it was like when we were kids and we look up at the clouds and we're like, oh, that one looks like a horse. Like, it's very similar. It's just using the smoke and being able to use that really keen eye and third eye to make out images in the smoke in order to divinate. And is there anyone? Thank you for the follow, Izzy. Appreciate it so much. So we aren't doing like actual readings as far as like card readings. But if you purchase any of our incense while we are here, we might just do a random one just so you guys kind of see what we're talking about here. Now, Zach, as far as smoke scrying goes, do you ask your question, or is this just something that you look at and like, how do you smoke scry?
So if I'm going to smoke scry, it's a very involved process that involves washing and preparation of my mind, all of these various factors. And this comes from a reconstructionist viewpoint of what my Nahuatl and Mexica ancestors would have done, is placing an obsidian mirror in front of me in a dark room with a candle light somewhere kind of far off in the room. You obviously need it in the room to see what you're seeing, but it's not going to be directly in front of or behind. It's going to be somewhere in maybe an adjacent corner. And then in front of that, I will burn copal resin, which is the dried sap of the bursera tree, I believe, or bursarachi. Similar family to frankincense and myrrh. Burn that, and I will look through the smoke at the mirror to see what comes. And sometimes my eyes will catch the images in the smoke. Sometimes it will catch the image in the mirror. Sometimes it's both. But that's typically going to be for me when there are very serious situations going on, very serious changes for myself, or for those in my family, or just in my life in some way connected to me. This is meant to be a much more involved process versus what we're doing here right now. This is going to be kind of more like, it's obviously a quicker version, but it's a much more direct, immediate kind of divination.
Yeah. K-Fall asks, so with the scrying mirror, we were to wave the incense in front of the mirror?
No. So if you were going to do it in a similar fashion that I would do it, you would want a scrying mirror in front of you, and then in front of the mirror, so between yourself and the mirror, is going to be your incense. And you would want something, not necessarily like stick incense, you would want something like a cone or like resin incense, or you could get a fire-safe dish, put some sand or salt in it, and then place like a piece of burning cedar wood on top of that. And that's going to be the incense that you're going to be using.
Hopefully that answered your question. Hello, Sylvie. And hello to everybody that's joining. Recapping, we are talking about incense and smoke scrying, the different ways of burning incense, as well as different ways of scrying. All of our incense for TikTok, you guys have it in the TikTok shop, so you can easily scroll through and check out the incenses that we have available. If you make a purchase with us and we get that lovely little notification, we will do a free smoke scrying session for you. And all you have to do is just purchase a $2 pack of incense. So yeah. So Sylvie asks, what kind of incense is best to buy for moving into a new home?
My opinion is going to be almost any of them, because in one way or another, most herbs and most incenses are purifying. We see this cross-culturally. If you want to go the route of herbs, rosemary, mint, lavender, any of those like menthol or camphorous scents would be really good. If you wanted to go the route of something woodsy or resinous, really any of the resins, I would say dragon's blood would probably be the bottom of the list, because it's typically used more for potency and protection. You would want to do something more cleansing. So that could be cedar, that could be frankincense, copal. Myrrh can be a little... Myrrh stinks. Straight up, myrrh stinks. Now, if you get a popanax, which is sweet myrrh, that's a little different. However, that's still going to be used. That's more for like, the connotations there are mourning and sadness and sorrow. So you probably don't want to do that in the beginning of entering a new home. But yeah.
And the rope incense. You know, that is the one thing I am not familiar with. I have never purchased or burned a rope incense before.
So I use rope incense fairly often because my practice is Himalayan Buddhism. The Nepali and the Newari, that's how they compose their incense. They're typically going to be single note. So it's going to be maybe a mixture of herbs rolled into the paper, cedar or sandalwood or juniper rolled into that paper. Certain resins, like Google is one of them, is related to myrrh. That would be rolled into there as well. And any of the Himalayan incenses, for some people, they like it right out. For a lot of people, including myself, it takes a bit of getting used to. It's very earthy, very woodsy, very spicy sometimes too.
I like that. Okay, I'm just pinning some of the more popular incenses on TikTok. And I am a big fan of Native Souls incense. The Holy Smoke incense, I have to figure out what is all in that one. It's a lot of like cleansing, spiritual cleansing herbs, banishing herbs. I just pinned that one. It is one of my favorite as far as smells go. I've learned a lot about myself when it comes to some of the incenses I like. I'm not as big into florals. I actually really like the smell of like muskier, earthier tones. And I've also learned a lot of smells that I don't like through burning incense. Certain like combinations just don't sit well. For example, I don't love how sandalwood smells.
Really?
No, and I want to so bad, but it gives me a headache. It's like the one thing that I burn, and after burning it for a bit, I get a little bit of a like headache forming. Other than that, I do pretty well with everything. Another thing that a lot of people might not know is when you come into the store and you're just smelling the incense in the box, how it smells in the box versus how it burns is going to be completely different. You might get some sort of similarity when you burn the incense, but it's very, very different. And I think sometimes people get like fooled by that. So it's a good thing that incense is so cheap, and you can, purchase a couple different smells or spend $2 and not really be heartbroken by it. Because definitely been plenty of incenses that I have gotten that I end up like burning like a couple, and I'm just like, I can't do this smell again. Can't do it. Do you have anything like that? Have you ever burned anything that you're like, I can't ever again?
there was one. It was a Bhutanese incense, I think, and it was called Lord Buddha. It smelled so bad. I was like, this is an offense. I think that was that and the first time I smelled true myrrh alone. Burning true myrrh alone. And it's funny. One of my friends, who also works at a shop, she did the same thing. She burned it for the first time, and she had the same reaction that like, oh, this smells really awful. Again, sweet myrrh, a Popanax, that's a different story. That smells really good, actually.
Yeah, if you guys are ever confused about any sort of like smells, I know Zach isn't here often, but he really gets the flavor profile of the incenses relatively well, and is able to break it down. What else was I going to say? There's something I was going to say. Also, witch tip, black salt. Save because the sky fell. Save your incense, like powders. You can make protective black salt with it. That's what I end up doing. And if you are in spell work and in it rather deeply, you will understand the importance of black salt as far as protection goes. So save your incense ashes.
I know in Hinduism, I believe it's Shaivites, those who worship Shiva, will put the incense ash, because it's blessed, it's given an offering, and it's done with puja, will place it on their forehead. It's called vibhuti. And it's similar to placing sandalwood paste on your forehead. It's just, this is the Shivite way of doing so. It's to honor Shiva.
So I don't know if this is gonna sound disrespectful, but all I can think of is like the Lion King. And
Yeah.
the
Like
smudging
Simba.
of the forehead.
Kind of, yeah, you would do that. You'd place your finger on it and then place it on your forehead, move upward to mark your forehead. Yeah.
I do see that we had someone looking in the cart. So if you ended up purchasing something, let me know. Most of the time it will tell me, not all of the time. So if you are purchasing anything from us and you would like a smoke scrying reading, feel free to let us know. And again, I'm just kind of pinning the things that I tend to like a lot.
What are your top 3 incense scents?
Oh, man, I wish I knew what the holy smoke incense scent was. Native Souls incense are just my favorite.
Just all of them.
Yeah, well, not all. I like the white sage and lavender. There's also this one that we have. It's called Stress Relief, and it's like the profile is like thyme, lavender, and I think patchouli. And I didn't think that I would find that very like stress relieving, but it actually has its own unique profile, and the thyme is what gives it that really like I don't know, just relaxing scent. So at the end of the day, I'll sit at home with a glass of wine and I burn my stress relief incense. And then what's the other one that I really like? I just like the smell of copal in general. I haven't burned the resin. I've only burned the sticks. I know Zach's shaming me right now. I can feel it. But I love the smell of it. And Nag Champa, I'm always a big Nag Champa fan. You can't really beat that smell to me, personally.
Yeah. Mine are probably going to be cedar, frankincense, and white copal, sometimes golden copal, but copal nonetheless.
You know, I found a place. We were talking about black copal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found a place that sells it.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, black copal is almost one of those things that it's like, unless you know someone in Mexico, good luck finding it at a reasonable price.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like with tequila, what there's blanco, añejo, and I don't remember the other one.
Any questions, guys? Because we'll stay on for probably another like 10-ish minutes. Answer any other questions we got. Kind of chat a little bit more. Our store is full of different incenses, so if you are in the area, definitely stop by and check out what we've got going on. The reason why we're actually talking about incense today is because we are running a special in store and online on our website until Sunday, where if you purchase an incense burner of $15 or more, you will get a pack of Satya incense for free to go with it. So if you want to take advantage of that, you're in the store for an incense burner anyway. Now is a good time. We have some really, really cool ones. We have backflows as well as stick burning incense and just cone incenses in general. So whatever you prefer. Also, don't know why I needed to tell somebody this. I know everybody recently has had some issues with backflow incense burners. Reminder that if you have a backflow burner, right, you need to buy the incense cones that have the holes in the bottom. It will not work in the way that you want it to if it does not have the hole in the bottom. So make sure when you purchase incense cones for a backflow burner, purchase the backflow incense cones. Yeah.
What does it mean when you burn incense but it stops midway? I'm going to say it's probably either a poor quality incense or you have some kind of draft. I don't think there's much spiritual meaning there. I'm always the skeptic, so I always go for what's the practical solution here? What's the reasonable answer to this? I'm going to say it's probably poorly made incense, a bad batch, or it's a particularly drafty area.
Yeah, keep in mind, like incense sticks are usually made by hand, and what they work with is like a paste. So if they unevenly distribute it, it's going to burn. It's going to just stop burning.
Yeah, it might burn hotter in the middle then.
Yeah.
What would you say is better for cleansing, the stick on screen or cones? You can usually find the stick and cone version of a singular incense. Like you'll find both versions of that incense. There's some easy ways to cleanse that I know of that usually use the stick. And again, that's because I practice Tibetan Buddhism, so like we pass things either over or through burning incense, or we'll take the stick and pass the stick around our body. If we're doing Wong, which is empowerment, there's usually a chipon, like an altar attendant, who will have very similar to like in the Catholic Church, a thurible, a censer with guggle, which is a type of myrrh burning inside of it that gets passed throughout the perimeter of the room. If I were gonna do something cleansing, I'm gonna use personally, because again, this is what my grandfather told me and taught me, is to get a bundle of cedar that I gathered in ceremony myself. But you could easily use a bundle of rosemary, a bundle of lavender, a bundle of mint to do the same thing. Especially if you grow it in your own garden.
Yeah.
Also, is it possible for incense to expire? It can expire in the sense that like the oils may evaporate, they might get rancid, and it just might smell like burning bamboo.
Yeah, it will kind of like dry out over time. Incense does have like a little bit of like almost like a moisture to it. Another thing is definitely not keeping it in a humid environment. Humid environment will then keep your incense damp, and it might not burn as quickly.
If you're getting like a dupe style incense, which is like India made incense, it's gonna have a moisture content to it, and you don't want that to evaporate. You want to keep it in its plastic wrap.
And that's dope as in DHOOP.
Dupe, yeah.
Dupe.
Dupa. So what are your least favorite smells?
Oh, I'm thinking right now. Wow.
Mine are myrrh, cinnamon.
You don't like cinnamon?
Not like burning cinnamon stick, no. If it's like a cinnamon fall candle, that's a different story. But like burning cinnamon stick, and then probably like bay leaves. Burning bay leaves.
I don't love the smell of bay leaves either. Funny enough, I don't know. It's not my vibe. I would say, oh man, I'm thinking about the incense right now, and I wish that I knew what it was. I don't love the smell, and this isn't even like an incense, but like we had gotten these hand rolled incenses, and he put herbs together to smell like leather. Okay. Don't love the smell of burning leather.
Yeah.
It's not a great smell.
No.
It smells, it's just not lovely.
Singed skin isn't exactly fragrant.
But that was something that like my fiance loved burning, and I was like,
interesting.
I'd walk into the house and be like, I can't. It smells like a leather shop in here.
I miss when Wildberry Incense carried vintage. I loved that smell.
I'm guessing it smells like a library.
It smelled like an oak attic that had been abandoned for like 50 years. It was amazing.
What a vibe. I know there's just smells I dislike. There's an incense that we have here, and again, it smells really good in the box, but to me, I just didn't like it. And like, this isn't me turning anybody away from it. I feel like everybody should try things. It's called Spirit Guide. Okay. It's very florally, but not in like that. I love the smell of rose, but this isn't like rose. Yeah, this is like a different, I don't even know, just a very pungent smell. And then there is a note in there that is not floral that kind of like throws it off for me.
Yeah, I like Satya's rose, fresh rose, Indian rose, and mystic rose. Ooh. Those 4 are really good.
Would you do thinking about ones that you don't like and the ones that you do like, there is a cinnamon rose.
I would try it.
Uh-huh.
If the cinnamon smells like cinnamon and not like burning cinnamon stick, I probably will like it. Or even if it's toasted cinnamon, I could deal with toasted cinnamon, like cinnamon rolls, like buns.
Oh yeah.
That's good. But like burning cinnamon, it just smells like bad burning wood to me.
I'm looking in our shop to see if we have any cinnamon since we were talking about it. Any further questions? Open to answering them.
Or anything you want us to talk about?
Yeah. It's nice having Zach here because there is knowledge that I have zero clue about. And he is very knowledgeable in things that are completely out of my range. So if you have certain questions, now is the time to ask, because who knows when he will be back. Except for Wine and Spirits.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be at Wagner's of Westlake.
And I guess we can talk about that real quick while we wait for anybody to join in. We, in 2 weeks, actually, the 14th of September, we're going to be at Wagner's in Westlake, which is a just giant ballroom. I actually went to prom there, huh? Mm-hmm. And there will be a bunch of readers, vendors, and wine. And Zach will be one of the people who is reading.
Yes.
So if you are wanting more of his knowledge, he will be there. So you can definitely check him out. But it's a good time.
I usually schmooze clients, so I'll probably be at the ticket desk with Melissa, egging you on to come sit with me because I live like an hour plus away and I need gas money.
That's why we don't have him often. So what would be the best chakra item in your shop to get a person that they can carry on hand?
Sometimes we'll carry it's all going to be crystal related, I think.
Yeah.
There's sometimes little vials of the 7 chakra crystals that people can carry with them, or something to that effect. Sometimes it's like what is it, organza? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Those little bags.
Yep.
Sometimes there's necklaces and charms.
Or
there's charms that you can make your own pendant out of.
Or the organite, is that what they call it? With the resin on the inside.
Organite, yeah.
Yep. But we have a lot of like little pocket items for chakras.
Yeah, sometimes if you want a specific chakra, there's going to be crystal pebbles. Is that the word I want? Like stones, like pocket stones that will have the symbol for that chakra engraved into it.
Yes, Mia, can you ask a question? What is your question? We're not answering any like tarot or like any questions like that. If you purchase any of our incense, we can do a smoke scrying session for you. But how do you get back into your craft after taking a break? I took a year break and it's hard. It is hard. It's basically like starting over and going back to the basics of like how most people start, where it's like being involved with nature, finding what thank you for the follow, Tanya, finding your niche and what makes you spark and doing that again. But yes, it's rough to get back into it again after taking a break, but it's just basically to do it. I'm a personal trainer on the side, so I'm always the person of like, it's gonna suck. You might not want to do it. It might be hard to get back into it, but you just have to take that first step and do it anyway. And then eventually it'll feel like riding a bike again. As far as the session goes, it'll be just a quick smoke scrying. So if you purchase any of our incenses in our TikTok shop, we will do a quick smoke scrying session. So basically looking into the smoke for any sorts of images or symbolism that you might need to know. It will be relatively quick, but still it will be catered towards you.
Sylvie, your question. I'm gonna go and default to sandalwood. That's typically chandan is what it's called in Sanskrit. I take that back. That might not be Sanskrit. That might be Hindi. But in any case, sandalwood or chandan is what you're gonna want to use for an overall balance. Other than that, I would do a little bit of looking into Ayurvedic medicine to see if there are specific resins or specific woods for whatever chakra that you're looking to balance. I don't know if we carry any chakra incense off the top of my head. Do you?
We have, I'm looking for it. It's called Sacred Purification.
Is it a Satya incense or?
It is not.
Okay.
But yeah, our Sacred Purification one is what a lot of people will do for chakra cleansing. I think we actually have one in the store that actually might be called chakra cleansing.
I thought there was one that was called like 7 chakras or
Yes,
something like that.
yes.
I think it was a Satya incense.
I'm trying to see if we have it in the TikTok shop. I know we have it in store for sure.
Or it's just called chakras or
I think it is like 7 chakras or something like that.
But yeah, as a general rebalancing, my gut instinct is to say sandalwood, chandan. Red or white, probably. Red sandalwood or white sandalwood, probably.
As far as the prices of our incense, they do vary. The cheapest usually being $2 for a box. And I think our most expensive one might be like $5, but that's because it's made locally and by one singular person. So the like more homemade ones are going to cost a little bit more, but still not by much.
Have you ever made your own incense?
I took the class here
Yeah.
And made it, and I completely forgot how to make it, but I went home and actually made some incense cones.
See, those are probably the easiest to make.
Yeah.
Like, so even if you don't have, what is it?
Because there's a binder.
Xanthan, yeah, yes. Xanthan gum. I've made it without xanthan gum, where I just like grind everything into a nice little powder. It's like clove, lavender, cinnamon, and ginger, something like that. And you just mix it together. There's something in Tibetan Buddhism, in Tibetan medicine called Sangpo Drukpa or Zangdruk, and it's the 6 excellent medicines. And let's see if I can remember them all. It's saffron, nutmeg, clove, green cardamom, black cardamom, and I'm gonna forget the last one, of course. Saffron. I'm looking at my shelf. Saffron, clove, nutmeg. Oh, bamboo pith, which is a very obscure thing to source. That and myrobalan. But those 6, you would grind up into a powder, and you can take them internally. This is not medical advice. Please do not do that. Consult with your physician before doing so. Or see a specialist, a Tibetan medicine specialist. But you can compound those and then burn them as an incense as well. And so I did that once, where I just ground them all into a powder, mixed them with water. They solidified pretty easily on their own into a solid mass that I formed into a cone. And they burnt evenly. They burnt well. So even without xanthan gum, you can still do it. Xanthan gum is just going to keep them from getting crushed if you decide to store them.
Okay.
Like into a jar, they won't smash up against each other.
So would this kind of be like a thing that like you would make and then pretty much burn right away after letting the water dry?
You could probably get away with like a little bit of like dusting if you kept them in like a jar, maybe not a baggie, just so they're not getting knocked around too much.
Okay.
Yeah, some bits might shave off here and there, but xanthan gum is like you can stuff them in a jar, throw them around the room, and they'll be fine. Without, you need to be a little bit more careful, but they should stay intact fairly well.
Nice. Any further questions, guys? Opening up the floor. We don't even necessarily have to talk about incense. If there's anything else that's been on your mind that you might think we have the answer to, I can do my darndest.
Mercury's out of retrograde. How do you feel about that?
I feel so much better.
I feel no way about it because I don't believe in it. So
we are burning India Temple. I cannot speak.
yeah, Song of India Temple.
It is its own unique smell. It is supposed to smell like the temples of India, as it says on the box.
To me, it smells like a cross between fresh laundry and Nag Champa.
That is an actually really good depiction.
So it's almost like, for me, it'd be almost like a Sunday morning where I burn incense and like do laundry and do, take out trash, do dishes.
Yeah. It's like that. It's that smell that I burn when I don't quite know my mood. And I'm like, this is just always work. Same thing with Nag Champa to me.
It's so clean and uplifting. It's an amazing scent.
Yeah, you'll learn. It's funny being around just a bunch of spiritual people because you learn everybody's hot takes of like what they believe in, what they don't believe in. So it's cool working in like this type of environment. What was your question about fire? What's happening right now?
Or is it just like fire?
Or is it just like it? There's
fire.
There was in the cauldron for a little bit. That is the one thing I just have a hard time with charcoal tablets is just getting them to burn and continue to burn. I feel like I have to babysit it constantly, like a little fire.
I keep mine in like sand, so it vents pretty well and it turns to complete ash. So you can go on like Amazon or something and buy like those little white like soy sauce dishes.
Yeah.
And those make perfect like incense burners for like when you need something but you don't have the proper material.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. We are probably going to head off here so we can finish up closing up the shop. If you have any further questions, please put them in the chat right now. Other than that, our next big event is Wine and Spirits on the 14th. That's when you can see Zach and a bunch of other readers, and a lot of really, really cool vendors as well. We have a pretty long list of vendors compared to our one in, I think it was like May. So it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be cool. I'm trying to think if we have anything else. You have a class though in September, right?
Yeah, so September 14th I'll be at the Wine and Spirits event, and then September 21st I will be teaching a folk spirit and folklore class. And this is going to be about honoring your local land spirits, petitioning them. Same with cemeteries, proper etiquette, and a little bit about like folk heroes and folklore of the area. Your area, this is going to be a very generalized class, and how to petition and work with those spirits as well as develop relationship with those parts of the land.
That's really cool. I have to jump in for that one. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you for everybody who followed. Definitely, if you are interested in any of our incenses, check them out in our TikTok shop or in person. Again, our sale is going to be running till Sunday, so take advantage of that. We don't know when we're going to do it again. But yeah, everybody, I hope you have a good rest of your night, and we will see you next week.
Bye.